Can you dance?
I think so.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm definitely not a gangsters don't dance in the club kind of guy. Like, but you know, I'll groove a little bit. But I've never been. I rap.
You know what he does? He flexes at Nobu.
There it is.
That's my takeaway too from this. It's
Bro.
like, see Lena, see Rosie, here, sending you some drinks, paying for your meal. The lesbians at Nobu. That's where Logic picks us up.
What can I say, man?
He's like, and then next thing you know, I'm doing his podcast, he's doing hers. This is how he rolls.
What's up, guys? It's Logic.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's up?
What's up, guys? It's Logic. You all hear me? Is this what you want?
What's up, guys? Welcome to Logically Speaking. I am your host, Logic, and I have a very special guest here today, my friend, in many ways a mentor, producer, actress, writer, creator of The Shy, the voice of a generation, Lena Waithe.
What's up?
Welcome.
Thank you. That's high praise, man.
I know I actually worked on that in the shower today.
Well done.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I want to thank you for doing this because I know you don't normally do stuff like this. Why'd you show out for Logic?
You know, because we're friends and you said it'd be more silly than serious. So I was like, all right, I'll take that.
No, that is real. I think every time I do press, people just be asking me really dumb shit. But for me, I don't see this as press. You know what I mean?
Right.
It ain't nothing to sell. It's like, I just want to be able to have a good conversation with somebody that I love and appreciate.
Yeah, I get that.
So I'd like to learn a little more about you.
Okay.
Because we're homies.
Yeah.
But there's a lot I feel like we don't know about each other. So how was growing up for you? What was your home life like?
It was really, I think, idyllic because I grew up in my grandmother's house, which is the same house in which my mother grew up in, which I think is really cool, on the south side of Chicago. And I also grew up in a lot of houses in that neighborhood were like that, where the grandparents, the parents, and the children. So it was like, I call them 3-generation houses. And I think that really kind of helped shape me and gave me a bit of an old school way of being, because my grandmother, you know, is there day to day. And she's from the South, she's from Arkansas. And she has a very different way of looking at the world. And then my mom has a very different viewpoint. And then I was shaping my own. And I think, and also, it was really cool, the things that we watched on TV and what we all liked. And there are certain things that we all like. There are certain things that just I like. There are certain things that just my grandmother liked. There are certain things that just my mom liked. So I was very early on paying attention to audiences and what they liked and what appealed to who. Like my mom would like LA Law. My grandmother would like this show called Hunter. And I'd be watching like, you know, Family Matters or you know, Living Single, stuff like that. So
Ooh, Living Single, Khadijah.
Yeah, man. Just saw her recently. So it's just sort of like, that to me is sort of what shaped, I think, my mind in terms of television and who was into what.
Wow. When did your like journey of creativity really begin? When do you think, and what was it? Was it always writing?
I just sort of like storytelling, I think, and I think in all the forms. But for me, television was the most exciting, just because I appreciated because I really liked half-hour comedy stuff. And I think I just really appreciated the fact that a story could be told in that amount of time. There could be a beginning, middle, and end, particularly with sitcoms at that time, which is what I was watching mostly. Those characters are going to keep coming up. They're going to keep being put in funny situations. And I just sort of found that really interesting and fascinating.
That's dope. And I think about like your come up. I mean, just in these last 8 years since 2015, I feel like you have just done life-changing work, like really insane.
I appreciate that.
And I think a lot of people, you know, because me as a musician, like I was grinding for a long time before I had, you know, my hit records starting with 1-800. But before that, I had hit albums. I had a fan base. I had, you know, really, I was building something. And I know you yourself had been building for so long.
Yeah.
But people could see, you know what I'm saying, you acting on a show or starting to write here or there, and then out of nowhere feel like, yeah, especially with like the Ready Player One stuff and the Westworld and all the really amazing things that you've been a part of, but they can see it as like, oh, she kind of just blew up overnight.
Right.
How does that feel? Do you feel like that's true? I know it's not, but I want to hear how you feel about it.
No, I mean, I think people drop into your journey wherever they drop in at. And there's some people, which I sort of had to learn on my own when I'm out and about. I never assume what someone is going to come up to me for, because I can easily think, oh, okay, I'm assuming you watched the shot, and they're like, actually, like first of the egg, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh, okay, you're Ready Player One person, or I don't always know, like somebody come up and go, oh, I love Master of None, and I'm like, oh, okay, I wouldn't think, or they'll say I love The Shy, and so it's really nice for have people to have different reference points for me, and I think that to me is what's really interesting, and I think for me, I enjoy not being boxed in, not being just one thing, and sort of trying to keep it exciting for myself, but also to sort of keep people guessing, keep people on their toes.
I really relate to that because, coming up and looking how I look and this and that and feeling like I never really fit in, when I'd be rapping about Star Wars or anime or this or that, people was like, oh, that's lame or that's this or that. But I'll never forget Alan Watts, a great philosopher. He said, anything you can be interested in, you will find others who are. And I'm not interested in staying in a box. I'm interested in pushing my limits. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, if I'm being real, like before you showed up, I was all like pacing. I'm all excited. Like, and that's how I felt about the guests that I've had on the show, because I'm outside of my norm doing this. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's an exciting thing. I'll never forget when I was, I think it was 2014, my first album, I did Jimmy Fallon. And it was the first time I was on television, and I was like damn near had a panic attack. Like I was having a panic attack backstage, and I was so scared but nervous and excited. And a buddy of mine, he pulled me aside and he was like, yo, Bob, you need to remember this. I was like, what are you talking about? He said, you need to remember this feeling of angst and all this, because you're going to get used to this shit. And he's right. Like, there's so much that I've been blessed enough to accomplish, and I know you know what that feels like. So I want to thank you for giving me that feeling of being all excited again and joining me here today. I appreciate you.
Man. Like, I was excited as I was rolling up, because we do get a chance to connect and talk and, just send voice notes and stuff and check in. But I think it's nice to document, just the conversation, the back and forth, and because that kind of stuff I think we forget to do, and I think it's important for us just to connect maybe on record.
I agree. So one question I have, I mean, you're a triple threat in the best way. You know what I'm saying? You're a strong Black woman. You are gay. You are positive. I'm saying, like, you wear all that. You just are yourself, and you were yourself, especially because like this industry has changed in the last 10 years, where a person like yourself, may have been made to feel like you can't actually, pull up and just be you. How do you feel that you as a strong human being were able to overcome that and just truly be you?
Well, one, I'm grateful to, exist in this space the way that I do, but I really, it's really, I feel like my steps being ordered, and there being a path that I was meant to take. But I'm also grateful for the people along the way that saw something and took a chance. People like Allison Jones, who's the reason why we sort of got on screen. A wonderful, amazing, legendary casting director. She cast things like Freaks and Geeks and Bridesmaids and Master
Classic,
of None.
yo.
Yeah, Master of None. So she's the one who sat with me and was sort of encouraging me to do on camera stuff. And I think that really changed the course of things. And then obviously introduced me to Aziz, and Aziz, was like, I want you to come take this journey with me. And because of that, I was able to really get on TV. And I think we were able to show people that like a woman like me is not alone. There's many of us that we exist in the world, and we want to be seen, and we deserve to be centered. And So I'm really grateful for that, but also I'm grateful to, Steven Spielberg for putting me in Ready Player One and seeing the potential and making me a part of something that's really bigger than myself. And it really turned into something really special. So I'm grateful to those that, Lisa Joy, who saw me and was like, come do Westworld, and just all these opportunities, and Justin Simeon, who allowed me to produce his first feature, Dear White People, which took me to Sundance for the first time. So it's just really these people along the way that have given me opportunities to show up and do something that I hadn't really done before.
That's what's up. And I think you represent a lot of people out there who may not have a voice, and you should be proud of yourself for that. That's real.
I appreciate you.
Well, why are you laughing?
I appreciate that, man. I don't really, think about it in that way.
I know you don't. That's why I'm saying it.
I know. I just think for me, it's really about, doing the work, putting your head down, doing the work, and because the work has to be exciting to me, or I can't really ask anybody else to get excited about it. So that's really what I'm always trying to do, is be entertained by it. I continue to push myself to do things differently that I haven't done.
Amazing. Last question about work, and then I'm gonna shut the fuck up. I'm just gonna talk life. And
all right.
How does it feel to come from Chicago and then create one of the greatest pieces of content and media and stories that is The Chi, about where you're from, and for it to be so successful? How does that feel?
It feels like a blessing, all of it, That's the only word that comes to mind, because it really was this thing that was destined to happen. And I didn't know, because it was the first time I tried to write a drama, is what The Chi is. Like, that was me sitting down and trying to figure out what that is. I knew when I wanted to tell a story, it needed to be an hour, even though I'd only written half hour. And so that also feels like I really needed that guidance from above on how to do that. And I'm also grateful to the people like Nkechi Carroll, who was a drama writer, who I called in to help me and listen to the first table read that we did, to hear it out loud. I really poured everything I had into that pilot. And for the people at Showtime, and I knew it was a Showtime show too. I was like, because they had this show called The Affair, which I thought was really interesting, a show about seeing an affair through two different perspectives. Yeah. So I remember watching that and thinking it was really something special and unique. I was like, if they want to do that, they might consider doing
That's
a show.
Manifestation right there, though. That's like you seeing what you want, where you want it, how you want it, and then making it happen. That's boss shit.
Well, look, usually you're supposed to create a bidding war and get a bunch of people excited. And I just kept saying, I was like, no, it's Showtime. And they were the first place we pitched to, and they got it. And I'm really grateful. And we're in production on season 6 right now.
Let's go. Congratulations.
Let's go. Thank you so much. We'll be back this summer.
Let's go. Turn up.
Come on.
When's the first time you smoked weed? Do you remember it?
I was like in New York. I was in my 30s. I was doing
wait. You didn't smoke weed till you were in your 30s?
Correct.
Wow.
I was doing Master of None.
Okay, sorry. Continue. My bad. I was just a little taken aback because you just such a face for the culture of marijuana-ness.
I know, because I just sort of, but also like, thank God, because ain't no telling. Like, I needed, I think, to be able to navigate it for myself. I needed to be a little bit older. But yeah, I started when I was in New York. And
Wow.
that's what I associate that first season with that, because we were so just like trying stuff, and I was living in New York. Like, it was just, I was like going back and forth and working with Aziz and really building that rapport and finding that show. And it was a really interesting time. It was really cool.
That's what's up. Yeah. My relationship with weed is like, when I was a kid, you're in like high school. Mm-hmm. Well, no, technically the first time I smoked weed, I was in the hood with my brothers, because they were drug dealers and running around and busting guns and doing all that shit. And I was like, oh, I'm trying to be cool like my brothers. But they're like, nah, you don't want this life. Like, we just trying to be good big brothers. And I hit this weed. So I'm like 11. I hit the weed for the first time. And I like low-key have a panic attack. And we're outside. We're like,
what?
Yeah, dog. We're like 10 stories up in the projects, out on this balcony. And I'm like, don't let me jump. And they like, shut your little mixed ass up. What the fuck? No, why are you saying shit like that? I was like, I don't know, man. And then it was, yeah. And they were like, drink some milk. And I was like, what the fuck is that gonna do? They're like, it'll make you not be as high and go take a shower. So I went in the bathroom with a glass of milk and the shower was just running. And I just stood there for like 15 minutes.
I'm surprised you kept, kept up the habit.
No, but I didn't. So then it was only like a handful of times that I was like with the homies. And they're like, don't be no bitch, hit it, shotgun it, punch you in the chest. Like all that. And I was like, oh my God. And so it wasn't until I was older and I was like, oh, let me just like microdose. Let me just take a little hit, see how I feel. This ain't a contest. And once I did that, it really helped me. And I smoked for a while. I hit it first when I was like, for real, 27. And then I smoked until my son was born in 2020. Because I was so scared that like having a baby, I was like, oh my God, what if I'm like really stoned and then he's crying in the 10th dimension of space and time? And I was like, I got to be a good dad, man. So then after a couple years, I was like, you know what? Let's just see what's up. So I hit the weed and like the first thing that happens is he like, not like I'm smoking around my son all the time or nothing like that. I'm just saying, go in the other room. Disclaimer. Yeah, right. We got to do that. So I'm like, on the porch or whatever, just hit the weedies with his mama and I go and I sit next to them and he falls down and cries and I'm like, pick yourself up, son. You'll be all right. It was okay. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But
which would probably be a reaction even if you are smoking.
True. Exactly. I never get too baked though. Like my big thing is, especially, when working, I think having a sober mind. And when I say working, I mean more so like on set, on stage, where you really need to be present. But when it comes to creating,
some cats is like, it's like constant. Some cats, especially in your profession.
Yeah, no, tell me about it.
It's just a constant.
Yeah, we was on, so like I said, I didn't smoke weed for 3 years after my son was born. And then me and Wiz went out, we went on tour last year. And
the king.
Yeah, the God. And I was like, hey man, just so you know, like we were shooting promo. Like it was like a fun little, almost like a Godfather skit to like promote the tour. And we're sitting at the table and he's just hotboxing it. And I was just kind of like, hey man, just so you know, I don't smoke weed anymore. And he's like, yeah, you're gonna be smoking weed after this tour is over. Like literally he just says it and it's not even like a joke. Like I didn't laugh. I was like, no, in my mind.
Was he right?
He was right as fuck. Yes, I went out on that tour. I was getting lit. I was on stage. This motherfucker Wiz Khalifa. First of all, shout out to you, man. You're my brother. You're a fucking real one. You're my idol. You set the example of what it means to make it independently in music. So thank you for that. But this dude, he sent me like the last show. He sent me this giant 12-foot canvas. And it's a photo of something I've never done in my life. I'm on stage smoking a joint with a bottle of 18-year Macallan, and he's just like blowing smoke, and it's the illest picture ever.
Wow.
But
that's pretty iconic.
Yeah. So cats like him, he literally smokes all the time. And I would always be like, hey man, you ever like have a panic attack or get anxiety? He's like, nah, fuck that. I'm like, never. He's like, nah, man.
That's interesting.
Has it ever made you anxious?
No, I haven't had that, but I do know people that's what they're like, oh, that's why I don't do it, because they don't want to get freaked out.
Yeah, but I feel like weed.
I know it should have the opposite effect, but everybody has different experiences on it.
It's wild. You could have 4 different people hit the same joint, and one person will be wanting to create, want to work out, one will be all having a panic attack. I think it's not the weed, it's you.
That's true.
Like mentally, like it's wherever you are. And I think the reason I used to have panic attacks when I would smoke is because I needed to be in control.
Oh, so then when you were anxious.
Oh, I mean, I'm definitely, yeah. I was very anxious. I've come leaps and bounds. How's your anxiety?
I think it's pretty even keeled, Yeah. I'm really grateful for that. I think just because I've sort of got to the place of just embracing whatever it is, and trying to find a way to move through it.
That's a hard thing to do.
Oh, absolutely.
I struggled with it. I wrote a book called Supermarket. It's like a fictional book, but they say write what you know, put yourself in your work. And so I was going through like some serious depression and anxiety, like crazy. There's this, have you ever heard of the term derealization?
I have, but remind me.
It's literally where you feel like you're like looking at life through like glass. It's weird. You feel completely like almost disassociated from
your own experience.
It's like you're stoned all the time. You know what it's like? It's like, you remember Men in Black when it was that little ass alien in that dude's head?
Yes.
That's how it felt. It felt like I wasn't me. I don't know how to explain it. And so I wrote it out. You know, doctors trying to give me pills and shit and like anxiety medication, which I think, you know, for some people it's important because if you have a chemical imbalance and you like physically need something to help you, I'm all for it. But this wasn't that. This was just doctors trying to throw pills at me to kind of numb what was going on. I was like, nah, what I need is therapy. And so, you know, I started seeing my therapist and then I started writing his book. And the first half of the book is just this dude, he's just fucked up. He's scared. He doesn't know what's going on. Just, that's me. And then I finished the first half and I started really working on myself, focusing on the things that mattered most. And then that's when I wrote the second half of the book. And I found myself out on the other side, a changed man. And I feel like the art that you create, it gives off that same vibe, man, that you just make something from your heart that you know. And I think that's why people resonate with you so much.
I appreciate that, man. I think,
It's true.
you know, we don't have a choice but to put ourselves, I think, in the work. I think that's why it all feels so personal. Or if somebody doesn't like something, it feels like they don't like you as a person, because it's like that's your personness in the work. And so, but we have to just, I think, remember that when we give the work out, it no longer belongs to us. So I think
that's a hard thing to let go,
true,
though. That I've
true.
had to learn.
It's true. It's not yours anymore. You know, you don't get to determine how people feel about it, or how they receive it, or, you know, it's a relationship. And so I think that's what is exciting is to be in constant relationship with the folks that decide to engage with the work, because what they get out of it is really exciting for me to hear and to understand, you know, both sides of it. It can't just be the good. It also has to be all of it. And I think that's part of the relationship. So I'm grateful for all of it. And I'm just happy to be, you know, someone that people, they want to engage with the work.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, man.
I love this energy that you're bringing right now. You bring that chill Zen vibe. So I feel like, you know, I spent my whole 20s trying to achieve what I've been blessed enough to achieve. But I feel like,
Do you have a Ready Player One tattoo?
yeah.
What?
What are you talking about? Of course. We
I
does
did
this.
not know that.
Yeah, you don't understand. Like when I read the book, so I bought 50 copies of the book and just gave it to all my friends because I loved it so much.
Ernest, that's amazing.
Ernest, exactly. Let's talk about Ernest Klein, the God, the GOAT, the creator.
I got a Christmas card from him.
Yo, me too.
And it's dope, ain't it?
Yeah, it's the best. It's always like his family and everything.
It's amazing.
But
shout out to Ernest Klein.
yeah, shout out Ernest
the
Klein.
writer of the book, Ready Player One.
He snapped.
And a sequel too. People have been waiting. They've been asking.
I know. What's up with that?
That's above my pay grade.
All right, bet.
But I think we should honestly leave it alone. It's like one of those things.
It's
where
great.
just like,
I think it is. I think it's amazing.
I don't think we should. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I just feel like it's so.
I mean,
so
I wouldn't
great.
be mad to go sit in the theater as long as y'all don't fuck it up.
I
we
wouldn't
good.
be mad, but that's like such a. It's so scary. It's such a tightrope.
Yeah,
Just because of what the movie, you know, was able to do.
I know, and it really.
But,
is incredible.
if you really fuck with the book like that and you like the movie, that's a huge compliment. Because obviously I read the book too.
Oh, let's talk about this for a second. This is real. So I saw when did this happen? It was like what's really wild is I was at Steven Spielberg's house, Flex, and I ran into him. I bumped into him because I was there with my homies and his daughter Destry, and we was just vibing. And I was going through a breakup at the time, and I just, you know, I needed good people in my life. You know what I'm saying? And so we're there. We're all talking, just hanging. I go to the bathroom, and then I, you know, take a piss, wash my hands, open the door, and just bump into this old dude. And I was like, oh shit, I'm sorry. I was like, oh fuck, it's Steven Spielberg. And he looks at me, he's like, oh hey. And I shook his hand. I still ain't watched it yet, but I shook his hand and I was like, it's a real pleasure to meet you, sir. Sorry, I'm not trying to cramp your style. He's like, no, you're not cramping my style at all. And I was like, oh, that's dope. And then he did something that I thought was really funny. And I go, oh, that's dope, man. Da da da. And I was like, oh, we both know J.J. Abrams, this and that. And we were just shooting the shit. And I was like, yeah, I'm writing a script. He goes, that's dope. That's dope. And I was like, yo, I just got Steven Spielberg to say dope. How cool is that? Anyway, that's my little
That's amazing
side story. But
he's a good man.
What I was going to say is when I first saw let me preface this by saying it's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Oh man.
I mean it.
I'm honored to be a part of it.
And when I watched it for the first time, I was hot. I was like, this isn't like the book. Like in my mind, I was like, this isn't like the book. It's not like the book. And when you read the book, it's like, bro.
The book is really layered.
Yeah, but it's like Parzival is like playing on like a old joystick arcade. Like that shit ain't going to be dope on screen.
Right.
And when I realized this, I kind of had to step back because a lot of like people's initial thoughts, especially people who aren't in the creative space, is just to tweet and spew vomit out their mouth and shit like that. I'm not like that. So internally, I was like, man, I don't know about this. Like, yeah, it looks great and the actors are great and then I just start naming all these things that are great about it. And I'm like, wow, this is great. But the thing that really opened my mind to just how amazing the movie was is when I think about how I grew up watching Jurassic Park. And that movie is really amazing. But in my late 20s, I read the book. I was like, yo, this book shits on the movie. Like literally. And I'm like, well, damn. But I grew up with this and it was a classic. So when I watched Ready Player One again, I go, let's pretend like this book doesn't exist. What is best for the screen? And I think as opposed to a joystick arcade game scene with him fighting some Crystal Skull guy, giving us one of the greatest car chase races in cinematic history. Yeah, I'm glad it wasn't like the book because that was incredible.
Mr. Spielberg.
Yeah, man.
That's what he does.
It's pretty wild.
And it was like, when you're doing stuff like that, you're in a white box basically with just like frames of things. And he could see certain things on his monitor though.
Yeah.
So you
guys were doing like mocap, right?
Absolutely. All of it. Mostly there was some live action to it as well. But it was just really such a crazy experience, really having to use your full imagination. Sometimes Steven would let us get a peek at what he was seeing so we can kind of get a sense of what it will ultimately look like. And then when I went in to do the voiceover work, which was really cool because obviously we're tricking the audience a bit if you haven't read the book.
Yeah, spoiler alert, but yo, it's been like 10 years.
I know, man.
Yeah, y'all got it. So let's talk about it. We good.
My character is like in the Oasis is a big old guy. And in real life, she's a young lady like myself. So, but yeah, it's cool. It just was really a wonderful experience. It was a wonderful experience.
Yeah, that honestly, like the whole story of, the backstory of H, of Helen's character, I'll never forget. I was reading the book. It was the first time I read it. I've never cried to a book in my life. And I was on this plane and I was reading about what she had to endure and go through. And I broke down and like cried on this plane. So that's why seeing you then, I mean, they couldn't have picked a better person. They literally could not have picked a better person. Like it's so true to the book and what that is, but it's also, once again, in this, you're really, all I'm saying, you really out here changing shit. You know what I'm saying? And just representing a whole lot of people, and you should really be proud of yourself because
I'm grateful. I'm really grateful for the journey.
That's what I'm talking about. And speaking of which, throughout my 20s, I feel like I look back and I was so focused on a goal that I wasn't present, And so from 20 to 30, all I wanted to do was become one of the biggest rappers in the world. And I've achieved that, but I look back and there's a lot I wish I had been more present for, but that's okay too.
Yeah.
Because now in my 30s, I understand that and I am as present or I try to be as present as I possibly can. But one thing I didn't have through my 20s, because I, in many ways, kind of felt like a kid, was utter confidence and not giving a fuck and creating unapologetically and doubling down on being myself. These last few years have really taught me that. How did you find that confidence in yourself?
Oh man, I mean, well, what you just said is so well put. I think it's something about just really fighting and doing the work, being in therapy, doing everything you can to embrace all that you are, even the stuff you don't like about yourself. I think that is really, because that's the hard part. It's sort of like taking the shame away from things that you know, maybe would be or have been told to be ashamed of. And so it's about just embracing all of it, you know, and not trying to make something that it wasn't. Can't change your childhood. And so
Amen.
It's about, all right, well, how do we move on? How do we move forward? How do we find peace? How do we find joy? Because that really is a full-time job, trying to maintain it. So it's a fight every day.
The first time we met we was at Nobu, and I was on one side of the restaurant, you were on the other side.
Yeah.
And I think
you sent something over.
I sent some drinks.
I was thinking about that.
I sent some drinks over.
Yeah.
And
non-alcoholic, because I don't.
Yeah, exactly. And they told me that too. And I was like, oh, well, just send something real cool, whatever. And then you look over and you're like, come over here. You're like, come over here. Like, come on, come say what's up. And I was like, nope. I was like, I'm not going to fuck this up. Because every time I see like an idol or somebody that I love and appreciate their work, I'm like, I don't want to fuck it up. I don't want to fuck it up. I just want to just be a fan. And you were like, nah. Like you wasn't taking no for an answer.
I was like, please, you have to, because he didn't know this, but I was watching his interviews. Well, I was listening to the most recent album.
At the time, yeah.
At the time.
Yeah. And you blew my mind when you were saying that, because I'm such a fan of you. So for you to be like quoting rap lines that I was saying, I couldn't believe it.
I was really loving what you were doing. Just the reference points, and just really smart. And also just for me, because it was sort of like almost, because again, people drop into your career wherever they do. And that for me is really kind of my introduction to you, really more so that album, which is a very interesting one to be, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
So it was sort of like where I really was like, what? Who is this guy? But also was realizing, oh, he's tapped by people that are, you know, that are goated, you know what I'm saying?
For sure.
So it's like,
because real recognize real. You already know what it is.
Okay. And but then also like your story, I was really tapped into as well, and in the book. And so it was just like, but the book came after our meeting. Yeah. But I was just really tapped into your story, and I was watching interviews and stuff.
Wow.
So that's what was so crazy.
And then we saw each other.
Yes, but I was just really learning about you at the time. And so that's why it was nuts. Imagine that's why I was like, no, I'm not goofing around. Come over here, because I manifested.
But I didn't even.
Way.
I was like, no, I'm not. And you
but
got up.
I got up. I went over there. Because I was like, I have to tell you this. It's crazy. I've been watching videos of you.
Can I please thank you so much for acknowledging my wife when we met? I can't tell you how many pieces of shit in this fucking industry be so focused on, quote unquote, the star in the room that they be ignoring everybody. You are not that person. You walk in a room, you shake everybody's hand, you address them with reverence and respect. And I want the world to know that right now. The first time we met, you looked my wife in her eyes and me in my eyes, and there was no rap star. There was no this, there was no that. You were just talking to people, and I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you for sending something over.
Sure.
And I'm glad it was destined, man, like for us to be there.
It was. I was so starstruck. So that actually leads me to a question. Who do you remember that like made you really starstruck when you met them? Like, I can't believe I actually met this person. Even in retrospect, like you didn't have to freak out, but internally to be like, wow, that moment of like, we did it. I can't believe I'm shaking this person's hand.
Actually, probably Oprah. That was the one.
Yo, Dilla alarm. Yo, Oprah, you met Oprah?
At the Independent Spirit Awards, we were nominated. They were there for Selma, and we were there for Dear White People. Wow. And she was so sweet. She told myself and Justin Simeon, the writer director of that film, she was like, I watched it on the plane. It was really great.
I'm sure she meant to say Jet.
Well, I think that's what she meant when she said
I'm
maybe.
just being funny.
But it was lit. And we were just like, we were so blown away that she took the time to watch the movie. And she said, I think she said she watched it when she was on the way to Africa or something like that.
Wow.
Like, of course. So it was just lit. And we were, that was really cool because it was that thing of, it was like, oh man, like even if Justin won an award that night, he won the award.
Wow.
And for, I think, best first feature. But it was really, I'll never forget it. It was like him winning, which was dope, but meeting her and her telling us that she got a chance to see the movie and she enjoyed it is really dope. And you know, yeah, it was just dope.
I love that. Yeah. It's always, I mean, I remember meeting the RZA for the first time.
Wow.
That's
big.
Yeah. I mean, I got into hip hop because of Kill Bill and the soundtrack, you know, Quentin Tarantino. And then the fact that the RZA did that, like when I was like, what the hell is RZA? What the fuck is that? Like, I didn't know because I'm a kid, you know, I'm like 13, 14. And then I discovered the whole Wu-Tang Clan and they were there for me. Like my father was not around, you know what I mean? And so, I mean, sometimes, but not really. And in a way, like that clan, I had 9 dads. Like it was really cool. I felt like they raised me through their music. And then so for that little boy to have a dream, I remember being 15 and being like, one day, I'm going to get the whole Wu-Tang Clan on a song and I'm going to call this shit Wu-Tang Forever. Yeah, right.
Wow.
And then you fast forward and I did that shit in 2018. And yeah, so that to me right there, that's manifestation. And that's definitely like when I met RZA on a plane, and he was just so kind and so nice. And that was really special.
That's dope.
So what makes you happy?
Oh man, that's a good question. I think a day where there's a lot of free time, you know, just to do nothing, to like vibe out, to get in some water, to drive up Malibu, you know what I mean?
Hey.
So I think that to me is just like really dope. That makes me happy.
I feel you on that.
Nothingness, basically.
I also struggle with it because like I'm definitely a workaholic. But I'm a workaholic that puts his family first and then gets the work done. And like if I'm not on business calls and emails and in the studio and producing beats and helping others and, you know, working on this, that, and the third, sometimes I feel worthless. I feel like it's all gonna slip away and it's almost like when I'm grinding so hard, all I think about is like a vacation. I couldn't tell you the last time I took one. Going on a baby moon with my wife next week though.
Love it.
And I feel like it could just be really difficult to allow myself to rest. Do you ever feel that way? I feel like when I'm resting, sometimes I'm thinking about work. That's
interesting. I mean, no, I have to get certain things done with whatever my tasks are. I have to get those things done. Once I'm done with those things, I can really empty my mind, but I have to be reading something, watching something, listening to music so that way I can be focused on that thing.
Love it. I feel the same way, like about video games.
Oh yeah, I know some people do that.
Yeah, I'm obsessed. I love video games.
I haven't gotten into that, although we have a character on the Shy that is basically becoming a professional gamer. So I respect it.
Yeah, gaming is dope. You just got to find your own niche. Like
I used to do it when I was young, but I have such a...
What were you into? What kind of?
Oh, but see, it was like Mortal Kombat.
Oh,
type
classic.
Shit.
Yeah,
like,
get over here.
We were doing that stuff. But then also, like, I remember being young and we like had Nintendo. We had Game Boys. We like did the Mario Kart. That's why it was crazy to see like the movie. Cause like I remember my dad like hooking it up with the Nintendo, the old school. Like I remember getting that. Yeah.
And then you're literally...
We had Sega.
In a video game.
We had Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic. The second Sonic is the best though, because that's the one that lets you like boost up and then go off. The first one you just had to like run. It was lame.
Yeah, that was the stuff we were doing. And we had the duck game where you shoot the ducks.
Oh yeah, Duck Hunt. I actually just got Duck Hunt like 6 months ago. I got the Nintendo, classic Nintendo. I got a what is it called? CVR or something like that. TV, like the tube TV. And I was just playing Duck Hunt, getting really baked.
Duck Hunts was the shit.
What's your favorite food?
Right now, I was in New York and is it there's like this place
Empanadas?
Empanadas. And I gotta remember the name of it. I'm gonna remember it. I'm gonna have them like you flash it.
Okay.
But like, is it? Oh man, if I have my phone, I text my guy. But he's really dope empanadas.
Okay.
In New York. I'm gonna get the name.
I like that. I remember where I grew up, it was predominantly Black and Hispanic, Latin culture, and there was a lot of people from El Salvador in our neighborhood, and a really incredible, tasty, delicious food is it's called a pupusa. Have you ever had one?
Oh,
of those?
hell yeah.
Oh my God. And
those are lit. Me and Gina Prince Bice, we used to get those all the time.
And then so one of my homies' moms, they lived like in the project on the bottom level, and her kitchen was like right there, and she had a window, and she used to cook pupusas all day with her window open, have a line around the block, and sell pupusas for $1 out of her kitchen.
And you get that, it's like that slaw, like that sauce, and like the pork and cheese joints.
Yeah, what a hustler.
Smart.
That's pretty dope. What's one of your favorite memories from childhood?
It's interesting because I feel like I think it's so funny because there was a meme going around saying like the kids will never know what TGIF really means. So like it was like Full House, Step by Step, Family Matters.
Yeah.
All that good stuff. Yeah, my sister and I like getting that Pizza Hut, whatever, like getting to that Friday night. That stuff was really fun.
Yeah, that's
just sort of
amazing.
like Blockbuster weekends and things like that, or getting the microwave popcorn, or just going to the movies. It was always centered around food and entertainment, and I think that's why I kind of still gravitate toward those things in my own way.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think it's such a special thing to hear you say that one of your favorite memories ever is just consuming great entertainment with the people that you love.
Exactly.
Fast forward today, you are making great, incredible entertainment with people you love. It's pretty cool.
I mean, I'm honored to be a part of, people's lives in some way.
Do you believe in manifestation? Like, do you believe that's real?
Absolutely. Yeah, I do.
I feel like it's either manifestation or we in a fucking simulation. Because like the shit that be happening to me, dog, you don't even know. Like a couple weeks ago, I was just chilling, minding my own fucking business. I don't know why. I just started thinking of Rosie O'Donnell. I don't know what it was.
I love Rosie O'Donnell.
I love Rosie, right? And
I used to watch her show after school at 3:00, NBC.
Of course, it's classic. And so I'm sitting, I remember Harriet the Spy I watched.
Oh yeah.
That was
Remember
a good one.
she went through that thing where she was like having different desks. People would like make different desks for her.
No, I don't remember that.
Yeah, people would design desks for her, and she used to have like these crazy desks every fucking day.
So
every
I'm
week.
thinking about Rosie O'Donnell. I'm thinking about, just, man, her as a woman and representing herself in the best way through the 90s, through adversity, through whatever the case may be. And she always stayed herself. And as a child, I was like, oh my God, like there's something about that stuck with me. And so I'm just randomly just thinking about Rosie. 2 days later, I have like a weird dream that me and her are just smoking a joint. And then like a day after that, I was supposed to do Jamie Kennedy's podcast, which I eventually did do, but I couldn't make it for whatever reason. And I go to Nobu. Shout out Nobu. Shout out Nobu-san.
Always.
I go to Nobu. Who in the fuck is sitting at the table right next to me? Rosie O'Donnell.
Damn, that's super interesting.
And I wanted to say what's
when
up.
that happened.
But you know me, I'm scared. So I was like freaking out. I was like, oh shit, my wife is there. I'm like, what do I do? I was like, no, I can't bother. So what I did was I wrote her a letter.
Of course.
Thanking her, like a little note on a piece of paper, thanking her. And, paid for her meal and just said, this is the smallest thank you I could ever do. And compared to what you've done for me without even knowing it, and left it at that. Like never saw her, never said hi. And the next day, Jamie Kennedy goes, now this is what's crazy. Jamie Kennedy goes, hey man, you out here buying Rosie O'Donnell lunch? I go, how the fuck could you have, how do you know that? And he's like, because since you couldn't do the pod that day, the person she was at lunch with did my pod that day and you paid for his meal as well. And I was like, what? How is that? How crazy is that? And then he gives me Rosie's number and then we're texting and vibing. And she's like, listen, I'm not well versed on hip hop. And she was like, but I saw you and your beautiful wife, and I thought this guy has to be a designer or something. I got my Louis bag on. I was feeling myself and shit. And I was like, damn, Rosie O'Donnell thinks I'm cool. And she goes, now I didn't really know too much about you, but I told my 4 kids and they freaked out. And I was like, yo, how cool is that? And so I'm gonna go do Rosie's podcast. But manifestation, how wild is that?
Wow. That's like, I do believe in it, man. I think that's so interesting. That's so fascinating that you think about that person and then like they're there. It's like, I just don't think that stuff is a coincidence at all.
For sure. Can you dance?
I think so.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I feel like I've never been like I'm definitely not a gangsters don't dance in the club kind of guy. Like, but I'll groove a little bit, but I've never been, I rap.
You know what he does? He flexes at Nobu.
There it is.
That's my takeaway too from this. It's like, see Lena, see Rosie, here, sending you some drinks, paying for your meal. The lesbians at Nobu, that's where Logic picks us up.
What can I say, man?
He's like, and then next thing you know, I'm doing his podcast, he's doing hers. This is how he rolls.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
These are the patterns.
Anytime anybody is at Nobu that I respect, I just pay for their shit.
Like, send them a bottle.
Yeah.
Next
Troy
thing
Aikman came. I don't even
friendship.
know about
podcast guest. This is how he moves. Come on.
Yeah.
This is how they roll.
I really feel like a genuine connection is shit. Like when I was younger, I'll never forget this. I never told him this actually. I was at Hit Boy's house, man. Like,
big.
Yeah. I was at his crib. This was like at the height. I mean, he's still killing. He's doing incredible. He's one of the legendary producer. Him and Nas, everything he's been doing, insane. Mm-hmm. But this was like the Watch the Throne shit. Like it was a big moment. And I just signed to Def Jam. And I remember like being at his house and he's like smoking hella weed. And I'm all like, can we open a window? Like shit. Like,
my God.
He was like a lie. It was wild. But he was so inviting and he was so nice. But I also remember there was a part of me that was like, yeah, but let me get some beats. Like in my mind, like I kind of just like wanted beats, It's like I just signed. I'm in LA. I'm like, let me get some beats. Mm-hmm. And as I've gotten older, I realized, man, like I'd be in the studio with like Terrace Martin, shout out Terrace, different people, meeting them for the first time, feeling like I had to sell myself, tell them my whole background and where I came from and what I did and da-da-da-da. Cause it's like, okay, now you give me a beat and I put a rap on. And it's just like, bro, for me, I learned that is not how anything truly gets made that is great. Like transactional shit, that's bullshit. When you can vibe and really get to know somebody and what you care about most is your friendship and your relationship, then all the art, that shit either comes or it doesn't, and it doesn't matter because you have a friend for life.
It's real. Yeah, whenever Logic hits me to ask me something, he's always super apologetic before he even asks for the thing. He's always like, look, you don't have to do this. This is not an obligation. Don't feel like, no harm, no foul.
I like that. But
he says no harm, no foul like 10 times before he says a thing.
Yeah, but that's because
more often than not, I'm like, sure, man. Of course.
I know, for sure. But that's I think is...
He's like, hit me with the interlude. I'm like, okay, brother.
No, what's really funny is you were like, okay, so like, you like sent me the voice message. We're talking about how Lena did a really cool interlude on my album, my final Def Jam album, Vinyl Days.
But shout out to Def Jam where my label is, Hillman Grant Records, Jalen Josie, Southern Delicacy. Download it anywhere you download music.
Look at that plug. Look at you. You like a professional or something. This is wild. But yeah, like, and I remember asking you like, oh, you don't feel obligated, like you just said. Because that shit is so important to me. It's like 99.
I do it too. I'm like that too. I'm like, hey, no pressure.
Yeah, but you mean it and I mean it. I think it's really special when you can just genuinely vibe with somebody.
See how I work that in? No pressure.
Oh, yo, that went over my head. Mm-hmm. You ever rap?
No.
Never?
No.
Not one time?
No.
Go ahead, bust a rap.
Absolutely not.
Okay, it's not happening? Mm-mm. All right. I bet you could rap though.
No. I mean, I like rap a lot. That's why I don't disrespect the art form.
What's a rap song that you know like the back of your hand?
I know the Lisa Left Eye Lopez verse from Donnell Jones. Girl, you know what's up? I know that one pretty well. I know like a chunk of it pretty well.
I feel like I never really, when I was a kid, digested lyrics. I don't know what it was. Like I'd listen to so many songs, all different genres, but it wasn't until I was older that those lyrics really resonated for me. Who is an artist that you think touched you, you know, in your soul at a time you might have needed it most?
Wow. Musically?
Yeah.
Well, Whitney is one that I will always feel is just a special soul spirit beyond the voice to me. I think the voice is just, you know, a part of, you know, who she was, and she was more than a voice. That's sort of the thing. But the voice was really special. So yeah, that for sure. Like her voice is like so magical.
You know any good jokes?
Like good jokes, like just, you know, like those classic jokes. You mean?
Yeah, like
those,
like dad jokes. Like I got it. Like
yeah, those is like I don't have a lot of those chambered, but some people I'm always in awe of those that do.
Yeah, it's crazy. Last week I got a haircut, and then I cut the rest of them off. Terrible
There
joke.
you go.
It's a terrible.
There you go.
How about
Look,
this?
man,
Ask
you
me to
really
give
are
you
a dad.
joke.
You're a dad. Can you please give me another dad joke?
Will you give it back? Yeah, welcome to my motherfucking podcast where we just shoot the shit.
Such a dad.
It is. I know that is some dad shit. I got the dad bod now. I came a couple years ago. I was all shredded. Motherfuckers thought I was on steroids. I was like, nah, that's just a dumbbell sandwich and half my ancestors building this motherfucking country, baby.
Oh my God.
I was like, this is just me.
Half, right?
Yeah, and then, but honestly, for me, it was also, it like started, like when I got really swole in 2018, it started all about just health. But then because I am in the spotlight, it kind of quickly turned into vanity. It kind of became like a brand and like a Bobby biceps and like all this other shit. And then I found that I was working out and so intensely that I was like kind of hurting myself. And I was doing it all for the wrong reasons. And since then I'm not on social media at all.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So, you know, my management, they really help me run everything. Like all the posts and stuff that you see from me, it is me. Like,
yeah.
You know, I'll send
you on Instagram?
Yeah, I'll send a picture and then I'll be like, make this the caption. Or if they, you know, sometimes I'll jump in, I'll say, hey, can I see your phone? And I'll go into the comments and respond to, you know, my
I
fans.
have someone who like definitely, I mean, because social media is a full-time job. And so my guy, Marquise Pfeiffer, he's the one really navigating it, and I'll get into stories. I'll try to help with that, but I mostly try to connect with people and find folks, but it's quickly changing too.
Well, before we get out of here, what would you say as a both personally and professionally is on the horizon for you that you're excited about attaining, both personally and professionally?
Professionally, you just want to continue to make really cool stuff, interesting work that lasts. That's really the biggest criteria. Although I can't force that, I just have to hope for it. And then personally, just I think more evolution, more growing. That's really all I can ask for, and just more peace of mind.
Let me just say, I really appreciate having you in my life. Like I really do, you know.
I feel the same way.
And like, you know, there's some days where I might feel a little down and I know that I can call you and you're there for me. And you really are like, and I know so many people hit you up. So many people hit me up. And when you really take the time, especially when somebody needs it, you make a big difference. And you've made a huge difference in my life just in these last few years that we've known each other. And I want to thank you for setting an example, a strong example as a creative, as an artist, as a human being. And thank you for your art. And I love you. We love you. Everybody loves you.
I love you too, man.
There it is. That's the podcast. Anything you want to say before we go?
I appreciate your time. Appreciate your love. Appreciate your support. Just sending love to everybody.
Swag. All right, y'all. Stay black. Hey, what's up, guys?
thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Logically Speaking. Please make sure you click the link and check out more things. Don't forget to subscribe, all those things like that. Don't forget. Peace.